Good evening and welcome to this evening on district posts and what people get from supporting clubs and Rotarians in working with district and working with clubs. I think what's useful is that we share the structure of district and some of the roles that might be available for you. And I'll just do that right now. So let me just share my screen. And you should be able to see that now if I just take this up. So the district structure looks something like this. Some pretty simple. The posts particularly we're looking for next Rotary year starting on 1st of July is district governor nominee, first of all, and then the district treasurer. Ewan has decided after his 3 years that he's going to stand down, and he's given us excellent service over that. Assistant governors, we've approval to go to 13 assistant governors, and some people are, one assistant governor in particular is coming to the end of their tenure. International, Mary McLeish is coming up the end of her 3 years, as is David Fryer in community and Bill Ross in foundation. And obviously, we look to get Rotaract to join us on the district. So that's the district posts. And I thought it'd be useful that we look at what I get from being on district. And for that, I'm going to ask Libby, who's with us this evening as an assistant governor, what she gets. So Libby, over to you. And I'll stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I've been in Rotary about 17 years now. I've been a president 3 times. I've been a secretary. I've been child protection officer. Had several roles. I never ever thought about going any further. Didn't look to, didn't think about it really. And then last year I was asked if I would consider becoming an AG. And if it was me personally, I would have ticked several of those boxes, Ken, that you had up, because I think part of the thing about district is that you imagine that everybody has to be every single person has to be a font of knowledge. And I felt I was practical, hands-on, and didn't necessarily carry all the theory in my head. Didn't really want to be the person. But having been asked, flattery, maybe not bribery and corruption, flattery maybe does get you somewhere. So I also thought then in my own life, I was in education my whole life. I was a head teacher for many years, and I liked that mixing with lots of other people. And so that was one of the main reasons that I said I would give it a go. And equally, I was told you only have to do it for a year, which gives you, which was good. I know that's slightly different, but yes, happy if somebody else wants to fill the shoes. But I think it was partly for me wanting to get to know more Rotarians, get to know a wee bit more about Rotary, and maybe expand my Rotarian horizons. And so therefore I went forward. I was impressed with the training. I thought it was very good. I hadn't been in my Rotary for a long time. And when I had been in my Rotary before, I didn't think it was as user-friendly as it is now. I was impressed by the fact you could do courses from 15 minutes to umpteen hours. And I thought, actually, that's really, really helpful. And since then, I've tried to really promote that. You know, please go in, do the 15-minute courses on foundation or whatever it might be. I think I also would say that my personal experience of district was negligible, other than the fact that there are 3 district officers in my club. But I never really thought of it as the great big picture when you showed that diagram just now, Ken. I just thought about what they did, and that was fine. And other than that, I had nothing to do with district. And I had always heard over my years folk would poo-poo district and slag it off and not be complimentary. And I thought, I wonder what all that's about. And sadly, I still hear that. And that was why I ticked other reasons, Ken, because people still seem to say in passing, oh, you know, what do we need that for? And well, I've tried to get hold of somebody and I never get an answer and blah, 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 blah. So now that I have a wee bit more knowledge, I can counteract that. But I think the other thing I got when I became an AG was a lot of support. I felt that I could ask people if I needed to ask questions, which was good, gives you that bit of confidence. And as you come on after a few meetings, then you get to know more people. Equally, it's just about all by Zoom just now. But again, slowly but surely that builds. So what I would say to anybody who is maybe considering, I would say give it a go. And obviously there's only a couple of you here that might consider giving it a go, but I would consider giving it a go. So on a personal level as well, I think there's been lots of learning, expanding horizons, all of that I've said. I think as an AG, what I wanted to do when I started to think about, well, how do I want my role to be seen? Then I think a lot of Rotary clubs are like silos. They're very isolated. They don't work very well together. And that's my experience, obviously. And in my area, there's 12 clubs. We do our youth, the 3 clubs in Dunfermline area do our youth work together. But I just think we could get so much more out of being closer and working together. And I always kind of had the impression that clubs were quite secretive and kept things to themselves. And now, with experience, I see that 1 or 2 are, and others are much keener to open up and say, yeah, I would ask somebody. So I think where I am just now, it's about thinking, well, we need to make Rotary more relevant. We need to keep the people we have, but we need dynamic people who want to be out there in the communities and want to get their hands dirty, want to collaborate, want to share. And that's been my message since I became AG in my meetings. I think that's what will make it better. People don't, you know, a couple of my clubs are still very formal and it just doesn't sit well at all. And if it doesn't sit well with me, you know, and I'm getting on a bit now, I'm an OAP. So I think, well, what about younger people? You know, and I often talk to my sister who's 51, and despite everything I say, you know, she still sees Rotary as this old men in suits and too formal and not out there. So I think we've got a lot of work to do. And I think we need to get people who are interested and dynamic and willing to learn. You know, we're not all fonts of knowledge, but there's somebody else that we can ask that question to. So I would highly recommend it. And whether it's for 1 year or 3 years, there's lots to learn on a personal level. And I think you can make a bit of a difference and try and promote this collaboration, this partnership, not just within Rotary, but with partners and groups outside as well. Will that do?
Excellent, thank you. You're talking up so much. You sound like a governor nominee coming up.
No, no.
And just for people that will watch this separately, Kath, there's criteria for some of the posts, but really not many apart from a knowledge and an interest, isn't it?
That's right. I mean, the criteria are to do with the, well, essentially the officers' posts. So the officers of the district are the DG and DGE, DGM, secretary and treasurer, and then the AGs. And the criteria for AGs is relatively simple in that the person has been a president for a year, or if they're a founding president for at least half that year, and that they're in a club that's in good standing, and all our clubs are in good standing. Clubs that are not in good standing are the ones that don't pay their fees, and we all pay our fees, and has actually been a member of the district for 3 years. And essentially the criterion for the district governor nominee is the same, except there's a time limit, which I really should have looked up before I came on. They have to have been in Rotary when they take up district governor, I think, for 7 years. So, and for secretary and treasurer, there's no formal criterion or criteria. I suspect that it's helpful as, although Ewan's done a fantastic job as treasurer, it's helpful if you've got an accountancy or financial background, and for secretary, I think from my own experience, it's just doggedness of getting things done and expecting the unexpected all the time. For other posts, I mean, in our district, but it's not necessarily the same in all districts. In our district, our standing orders have it that the way that we select people is by voting if there's more than one candidate. Not every district does that. We do have a nominations committee, but our nominations committee would normally make recommendations. In some districts, they make appointments, but we've always done all our jobs, apart from two that I'll come on to, in either the executive, the team leaders, by a process of election. And in many cases recently, posts have been advertised and people have been elected unopposed because no one else has stood. The two posts that are appointments, or the main ones by the district governor-elect, are the foundation post when it is opened up, and it is a 3-year appointment. It could be expanded to 5 years, but I don't think we managed to persuade Bill to go to 5 years. And the learning and development post, which we've merged with conference, is also an appointment of the DGE of the year that it's vacant. But a lot of the other posts, you know, if you were interested, or if one was interested, for example, in the environment, then somebody who's applying for that, you know, probably has a background in the environment. And I think to echo what Libby said earlier on, I would like to think that I'm a fount of knowledge, but the truth is I've got a book, or maybe I've got the internet and I just look it up. I don't actually know any more than anybody else. I probably know more quickly where to find it, but I don't know anything. And I've said in other occasions that in my experience of a number of voluntary jobs, and having been a civil servant for the better part of my life, I'm used to things that are codified. But what I would say is that Rotary is really second to none in being able to find things, especially on Rotary International website. It's all there. You just need to look for it. I would love to tell you that I can chant the Constitution, but I can't. But I know how to find it quickly because it's on my it's on my desktop. So that's the background to the jobs. And I mean, this is my last district job. I won't be doing any more after this. If I'm elected unopposed, or if I'm elected opposed, the last job that I'll do is for Jim Hatter as DG. But I made the mistake some years ago of saying to Robin Rippon, whom some of you will know. Robin played a great part in this district and is now quietly in Howe Fife Club. But I said to Robin Rippon when he was community chair that I was going to retire early, and I felt maybe I could take something on in the district. And that was a mistake, because Carol's laughing because she's had one of these phone calls as well. Or else you hear the voice saying it and you think, why did I just say that? But over the piece, I would echo what Libby says. It's been great fun. And sometimes hard work, to be honest. And that's the same for everybody, no matter what job. But it's worth it in the end. And it just widens your horizons tremendously. Jim Aitken, who was district treasurer for a number of years, always said that district was like being a member of a second club, because you were meeting new people. So I would endorse that as well. Yeah. So that's a little bit about enthusiasm, but also how we select people.
And really,
and I sometimes look for PDGs to count votes for me. Tony, are you listening?
I think, can I add a little bit, Ken?
Sure.
Just to add on to what Libby and Kath have said, partly you have curiosity from people that have maybe been successful within their own club, but feel that I've done that, but I would like something new, another challenge. And being part of a district team, whether it's the G's track or the foundation, you can make a difference by spreading that word, taking the clubs, making them not feel so isolated, or making them aware. And that's a wonderful thing, because you visit these other clubs or you find out more of what they're doing and you share the wealth. And that's where your contribution, you get the gift back.
Yeah.
You just feel purposeful. And in a district position, you can enjoy that. I'm not going to say when you get to district governor, you've got a lot of pressure then, but I think on some of the lesser roles, as you grow into district, you can really enjoy being part of it and sharing what all the other clubs are doing with each other round about, and trying to make them feel back with this bigger family where, you know, like Libby said, there's this isolation and, oh, well, we do it our way. That's the way it is.
Great, thank you very much, Tony. And I was going to get Carol to kind of see what Carol thinks about district positions, because I can't remember how long ago I gave her a wee buzz and says, Carol, how do you fancy? So, Carol, do you want to share?
Yeah, aye. Was that bit? I think the last time I spoke at the club, I said I really need to learn how to say no more forcefully. Very good at it in the day job, perhaps not so good at it when I'm out with work. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe that was the thing. Yeah, I'm almost thinking I should be just going with what Libby said. Ditto. I think, you know, for me, I've held 3 different roles across the district over just under the last decade. Yeah, Ken McLennan got me into the last one. Kath Chorley got me indirectly into the one before. Never invite the DG when you're president to one of your events, because before you know where you are, she's going, I think I've maybe got a job for you. But yeah, in all seriousness, like everything, how did we join Rotary? Somebody asked us, and in fairness, probably therefore when we think about it, how do we join district? It's not easy. Yeah, somebody usually asks us, twists our arm, whatever it may be. So yeah, currently an AG, just halfway through year 2. So at that point in time, but I was previously, my first experience was as stewardship officer for foundation. And then that kind of went on to be foundation chair for so each of those was a 3-year tenure. And I guess for me, it kind of was that thing. I never joined Rotary to join the district. I didn't even know the district existed when I joined it, let's be honest. I joined to make a difference. And actually the one thing, and Libby said it as well, is that you discover that you can make a difference, not just directly in the clubs and in the projects and the activities that we do, which you'll never take away from us. There's nobody in district who's not a club Rotarian first and foremost, because it's our clubs that give us the passion and give us that first experience and let us be really hands-on. But that's in our own communities, and particularly with the 2 roles I've done, the one thing I see I found is that you're helping others to do what they want to do. There was a huge amount of satisfaction, particularly in foundation. You know, in those early days, nobody liked me. This is called the district support team. And people went, sure, they said she's not a supporter, because I was the one who was sending out the emails going, you got your receipts? How did you pay the money? Have you got your deadlines and your reports done? You know, and folk were going, well, that was part of that job, and it was part of what we had to do, because as Rotarians, we have to ensure we're doing things right, and that we can look everybody in the district and the communities we support straight in the eye and go, we had this money and this is what we delivered with it, and this is how it made a difference. And whether that was in Cowdenbeath or whether it was in Nepal or whether it was in Kirkcaldy, there was huge and amazing projects. And what I really found and what I really enjoyed was meeting all the different people, all the different projects that were out there, and learning things from them. And seeing the pictures and seeing the stories that were coming back gave me a real buzz. That gave me an absolute, and just, I didn't deliver those projects. I was just a really little bit that just said yes or no amongst the other team, and we got the projects done and we were there. And similarly, I'm not going to repeat what Libby said, because she said it's articulately, but again, the AG role, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to get folks speaking to one another and sharing best practice. The area presidents, when we get them together, you know, if somebody's got a question, got a query, the answer's most often in the room. And it's not necessarily with us as the AGs. It's about sharing best practice, about having that environment to just be able to share ideas, thoughts, concerns, and kind of, you know what, sometimes it's nice to go, it's not just me that's got that query. Somebody else is doing the same, but sharing ideas, that's what makes a difference. And that's what connecting people. I kind of would always say I'm a people person. I think that's kind of the bit. I'm nosy, which kind of helps as well, because you'd like to ask me questions and find out about folks. But actually, you know, it's about being part of it. For me, it's pushed me out of my comfort zone. Doing some of the presentations I've done in the past, I'd have never done that otherwise. Used skills from the day job to help to sort and set up some processes and systems. But you know what did I get back out of it? Loads of fun, loads of laughs, lots of new friends, lots of new contacts, and yeah, helping others to achieve what they want to do. So yeah, absolutely. If you're interested, even a smidgen, then ask more and we'll get you there. We'll find you something. There's something in there for everybody.
And just fun of going and helping our clubs celebrate their centenary, as we did recently. And there's another one coming up in Cowdenbeath soon. I think we've actually got, there's a couple more coming up, I think, some big celebrations. And think of all the great work that we've done in the last 100 and, I'm going to get it wrong, 17 years, is it? Or thereabouts of Rotary. So excellent. This was going to be an open discussion piece but so if Roy or Yolanda, or indeed anybody else says, I've got a couple of questions, go for it. This is your opportunity.
Okay, I'll start. I mean, the one thing I worry about is the amount of time it would take. Like, I'm secretary of Cooper at the moment. I'm also secretary of another organisation. So has one thing, has Zoom made it easier? You don't have to have in-person meetings. And after, or if COVID ever ends, are you going to go back to more in-person meetings, or do you think you'll carry on with Zoom? Cut down traveling?
I think Zoom's created a huge opportunity for us doing something different and introducing a different perspective to Rotary for people. As district, we are committed to using Zoom more. So for example, Kath put forward an excellent paper on, so all our district support meetings are on Zoom. Our district council will do one Zoom and we'll do one face-to-face in the year. So just for Tony, this district manages to get away with 2 district council meetings in a year. And we've got that changed a few years back. And just simply for me, if I go to a district meeting in Perth, I'm out for a day for what effectively is 3 hours. So if we can make it work, there's a huge value in getting face-to-face early in the year, starting to feel each other and understand what makes us all tick, and what support each other needs. And that was really brought home this past weekend. I was down at Warwick with my fellow governors-elect and the governor and the governor's nominee, and just the knowledge and sharing and understanding and the support for each other was enormous. I really respect the value of face-to-face. I also understand the environmental issues with us all traveling. When do we really need to for a day for the sake of a 3-hour meeting if we can get away with it? And the likes of the area presidents meetings, I'm quite sure there could be one face-to-face and the rest of them during the year can easily be on Zoom, for example. So I think there's a mix. It's what's right for each and every situation on that. So it's up to us to make that work.
I think when I worked for a beaver, so it was originally General Accident, and then that merged with Mutual Union, and that company merged with Norwich Union. So if you met face to face first, the rapport was there. Yeah. Even if you met online after that, the first face to face meeting, you got something going straight away.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Only on Zoom, you can get it going, but it takes longer.
Yeah, and that's that part that just breaks the ice, isn't it?
Is it?
And
Does it not also depend on what the role is? You know, certain roles take a little bit more time. Certain ones are only in certain parts of the year. So again, I think that different. But the Zooms definitely makes it so much easier to fit in with a schedule.
Libby.
Just to add a bit to Roy's question, that working, you know, how much work is it going to be, was a concern for me because I have many other things in my life. And I would say, I think as time has gone on, looking to next year, assuming that I will go forward unopposed, I think it'll be an awful lot easier. I think it's like anything that you start, the first year is maybe twice the work because you don't know what's round the corner. And you want to be sure, and I've got 12 clubs. So 12 clubs at the moment is a lot to get round, but it gives a lot of choice, a lot of different ideas that are around there. So that was what worried me, and I wouldn't pretend that it's not work. It is work, and it does take some time, but I would see going forward that it would take less time. You know, I already know in my head certain people to ask certain questions, which I didn't know before. So those are the things. So I would say if you're interested, then yes, be prepared for a bit more work in that first year. But as I say, we're all going to have fewer clubs next year anyway. And it's definitely worth a go. And as Heather said to me once, you know, it's not a job. It's not your full-time work. It is a voluntary job and it is a voluntary organisation. So yeah, that's just the thing. Yes, it is work, but I think it will get less.
Yeah, there's another thing I'm going to say. Does anybody ever get angry with it? Because we've had, Cooper doesn't have that many arguments, but occasionally heated debates, and one way to calm it down is just to say, just remember, everybody's a volunteer. This is nobody's paid job. We're all volunteers, and like we say, sometimes people have got new roles. They've got time to get settled down into it.
Right. I think, like anything that is just found in your professional life, we're not all going to agree. We're not all going to be best mates with everybody, but there is a common thread in that we're all Rotarians, and you can sometimes just agree to disagree, but it's never, I've never been in, I've done a lot of jobs in Rotary, and I've never been in a confrontational place. You know, I've agreed to disagree and maybe just leave it at that. And like I say, you're not going to blend with everybody, but no, I think from my point of view, no, you're not going to be unhappy.
So you want...
Oh, sorry,
No,
Ken,
you
I was just going to say as well, from the point of view, Roy, in terms of depending what kind of role it was you were looking at, the likes of, for example, when I was foundation stewardship officer, most of that was done by emails actually and phone calls. So actually, in terms of there was and that allowed you to flex it round and about working full time in that as well, because a lot of it, depending on what you were doing, was rounding about that. So depending if it's one of the roles within the teams you're looking at, some of those will be, you know, more or less time required. And the other thing is that you don't need to know the depths of any particular project. Something you've got an interest in, I always think makes it an awful lot easier. But those of you, and there's a few of you on this team who heard me talk during my foundation team period, I didn't get foundation until I joined the team, and then I learned about it when I was on the job, like everything I learned on the job, and it opened up a whole different world to me. So that's the other bit of it, is you can learn it at your own pace, and you can adapt it depending on what the job is as well at a time that suits you. Yes, we need to be there to answer the questions and the queries from members, but I think if we set their expectations, just like we do in our professional lives, then we can manage that. That's me, Ken.
It was quite interesting. One of the comments that come up over the weekend was, and it was an interesting one. I'd be interested that a couple of people's comments at this. Some of the most successful governors, for example, have been those that have actually had jobs, because they've had to compartmentalize and manage things. It's also interesting at times, but they're the people who can manage it. And it's like somebody says, you know, if you want something done, give it to somebody busy, and it'll get there. Yolanda, have you any questions?
Well, I mean, like Libby, I've been president 3 years in the club. I mean, I've been in the club about 20 years, but I've been president 3 times. And, but I really, I was in a quandary when you put that thing up, whether to say, I don't really know enough to be in one of these district positions of Rotary, even though I've been president 3 times and I've done all sorts of other jobs in the club, you know, and also the other thing is I have taken on, since then I've taken on directorship in the Cairnmead Football Club, which is a waste of time at the moment, seeing that they're bottom of the division, but it's a hell of a job that is at the moment, trying to get money from people and this, that and the other. But so it's a wrong time, I think, for me, but I wouldn't mind sort of doing something on, you know, you said the lower positions are available as well.
Yeah.
Something like that. I wouldn't mind giving that a go, as long as it didn't take up too much of my time, because between Rotary and the football club, it is a hell of a job at the moment. I haven't got that much time. In fact, somebody rang me yesterday, can we meet up to discuss about something to do with football? And I said, yes, I've got Monday for 2 hours and Tuesday for 3. What about the rest of the time? I said, I'm fully booked the rest of the time. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I wouldn't take one of the top ones now, but certainly one of the lower ones, which you said are available as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind giving one of those a go.
So it's not district governor nominees, it's anything under that.
No, that's not what I said. You put up a chart there, but you said there were about 5 or 6 things in between.
I'm going to echo what Libby says. There's a huge amount of support. There's also a huge amount of training. Both some of it face-to-face, where you can work with other people, but also I'm just amazed at what's in the learning center. And some 15-minute things here, 10-minute things there. I'm just doing the last 5 little bits for my, I said, was it governor advanced training or something like that?
Right.
So it's all been done. It's been quite easy to do, and if you can have a friend in another district doing the same, or people within the same district, there's a huge amount of support for anything you do take on. And there are a bunch of that lower down ones. We'll have a discussion offline with you on that one, that's for sure.
Right.
And
I think it would be, sorry, can I just say, and I'm not trying to flatter, well, I am trying to flatter Yolanda and Roy, but it strikes me with both of you, with your commitment in various ways, it would be very strange not to have you doing something in the district because of your huge commitment. And we just have to, if you're willing to do that, we have to have something that is manageable for you in current circumstances. Yeah. And there are jobs that are like that. And as Carol said, I'm not necessarily pushing the stewardship one, but as Carol described it, a lot of it is email, a lot of it is maybe sitting on your own, working on things, so that you're not having to travel to, let's just pick Orkney for a moment, you're not having to travel to Orkney to do something. Yeah. So that I think there are manageable jobs there and enjoyable jobs. And I think probably myself and Carol are 2 people who actually find foundation things enjoyable, because we're a bit sad. But everybody says foundation's a black box, but actually it's not. It's quite amazing. And I think the other thing, Yolanda, if I can just pick up something you said, that you don't know enough, but you know that you don't know. And that's the big thing. If the folks, not necessarily in Rotary, but in life, who don't know what they don't know, they're the dangerous ones. They're unconsciously incompetent, and they're dangerous. But when we know what we don't know, and it's the easiest thing, people might not believe it, but I spend a bit of my time writing to other district secretaries saying, what are you doing about this, or have you seen this before, or and so on, and we all help each other.
Mhm.
Yolanda, I think if you want to ask me anything, because obviously I'm visiting your club on Wednesday. So if you want to ask anything offline.
Yeah. On Thursday.
Was it Thursday? I thought it was Wednesday.
You're having a bad week, Libby.
Oh, God, tell me.
Coming to our council meeting on Wednesday.
I'm sure the text from Maureen said Wednesday.
Probably she's in so many committees she doesn't know where she is.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it, and I will check that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could have a chat if you want to ask anything.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Libby.
Tony.
James is sitting in the corner there and he's not saying much. James, what you got to add here? Come on, young man, come into the conversation.
Well, I'm a great listener, and I've been listening to all of this. And for what it's worth, I find that being an officer in the district is distraction from my work. I'm in a lot of things as well. I was listening to Yolanda, and I'm quite busy as chairman of the Arts for Aberdeen, and also running two businesses. And I think that when I'm in Rotary, all that can drift in harmony, and I don't have to worry, because, you know, busy people do have pockets of things they do. And it works well if you can keep control of those pockets. Rotary is no different. And Rotary doesn't put any pressure on you that you don't want. You know, Ken related to the fact that there's a lot of support out there. One of the best jobs in Rotary, I think, is the AG's job. I really, really enjoyed that. And one of the reasons for a lot of people that I'd never seen before, we had a lot in common, we talked and chat, and not everyone is going to agree. I always look at it this way. When you're talking and you're discussing matters, and maybe people have their own opinions and don't agree with yours, if nobody dies while you're standing up, then that's okay. You just, well, because you have to, and this is something that not really just in Rotary, but all over the world has to exist. You have to live with each other. And you have to respect the other person's opinion, whether you agree or not. And this happens in Rotary, you know. You always in life get the one over the edge that's ready to jump. But there's always somebody there that can pull them back. It's just how you deal with it. Rotary is no different, but it's a great organization to be a part of. And it's a better organization when you can add to it. Because if you enjoy being around people and getting things done, and if you're really sincere and believe in your community, you want to rise so that you can put into effect all those things you want to happen. You can't just do that. You can help do that when you're downstairs, but when you get up top, you can even do it better. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
True.
Thanks very much for that, Jim. Kath, we're obviously got a process going forward coming out shortly. Do you want to just have a couple of minutes on that? And you're on mute, I'm afraid.
You're mute. It's not often we get to say that to Kath.
I know, I muted myself because there was a bit of feedback there and I thought it might be coming from me. So yes. So this bit gets a bit busy for me now, this part of the year. I will come out in due course, and I will, as Ken has already said, which jobs are vacant, and the ones that I'll be looking at this stage are the ones who are team leaders or DGN and AGs. So that's what my initial interest is in. But I think in the past we haven't included the other posts. Maybe need to have a little think about that. You know, thinking about the stewardship one, environment, for example. And if you are going to be nominated, sorry, you need a nomination from your club. We for very many years, we had a very complex nomination procedure, which annoyed me to bits because it asked your age, and I couldn't for the life of me work out where that fitted in. So and also it asked for your decorations, and they weren't Rotary decorations. They were those of us, not me, who got letters after their name, I presume, and maybe even before their name. So it's a fairly simple procedure, which, although technically because of constitutional things, for DGN and for AGs, your club will have to hold a special general meeting to nominate anybody who's interested. For the team leaders, that's not required, but it's a nomination procedure by your club. And I'll write out in the next few weeks, and it'll be closer to now than to Christmas, and start to ask for nominations. And then if we have more than one person showing interest in having been nominated, then for all the jobs we have to go through, that's for the ones I've mentioned, we have to go through a voting process. That hasn't been particularly frequent recently, although I think for the last few years the DGN has always had more than one person. So we then conduct a vote of the clubs. But I will make it clear just how we do this process by writing to all the clubs. And honestly, I've made it as easy as I possibly can, because I can't be bothered. That just shows. I say this, Tony, you'll have to get used to me. I can't be bothered with certain things because they don't add any value whatsoever, and they waste my time. And like the rest of you, I'm fairly busy because I'm always amused. You know, everybody here has said today that I do this, and I do that as well. And oh, by the way, so-and-so asked me to do something. So people like us, I'll just be bold, people like us are busy. So the nomination process, the voting process, everything is as simple as possible. And we'll have to conduct that. So yes, Ken, that's my job for the next few weeks, because I've actually got nothing else to do, don't you know?
Well,
Ken.
And if it's reassuring, Ken, Florence has turned up, but she's in the car. Florence is a cat. She's in the, she comes a lot to Rotary meetings, but she's in the corner and she's asleep, so I don't think she's going to apply for anything.
But the shower vote.
She checks everything, Tony. She runs this house.
Yeah.
You're saying about the AG, it's a year, but is it not really a 3-year rolling? A year rolling, but it's a 3-year
It's the
position to get the best out of it.
Yeah.
Actually, for you doing it, and plus being able to do your role right.
You're absolutely right. It's a 3-year, but the rules say for some reason that they've got to be re-elected every year.
Is a question for anybody here? Have you ever seen anybody get sacked in Rotary?
Yes, Tony, the DG gets sacked at the end of the year.
You get sacked. But you know, it's that
right.
saying, like, what's the difference between a good president and a bad president?
12
A
months.
year.
I'll look it up, Tony, but I have a feeling that it's in the, you know, I know your experience is before you came back here is not in our Rotary GB&I. The constitution in Rotary GB&I differs from the RI constitution in minor parts. I can't remember, and I'll look it up. I think the election of the AGs is actually in the Rotary GB&I constitution as opposed to our district standing orders. Because if it's just in our standing orders, then I think the time has come to make a change to those standing orders. But I'll look it up.
The one that we're different, sorry for the other people just to interrupt, the foundation chair in America, while picked by the district, has to get approved by international,
Yes.
no by the district. They only propose them. And that's actually the only position in a district in America that they don't actually go in tandem with the district governor. I've seen friction because they can say, oh no, I do it my way, where normally they tend to go with the governor and work within the district together. Anyway, sorry.
And as you asked the question, has any of them ever been sacked or not appointed? When Kath was talking about nominations there from the clubs, just tell your club you want nominated. It's simple.
Sorry, I thought that was a given. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Fill in the form and hand it to your secretary or president.
Absolutely. So for those that are watching this on replay or on the record, the information is going to be coming out. It's a fantastic thing. And if it's not for you, who do you know that would be interested? Because they might not apply themselves. And if they're not going to apply themselves and they can add a huge value to Rotary, just tell us or ask them. We'll soon, as Carol says, put their arm up their back and have a wee discussion as to see what's possible. And it's, as you've heard it often enough in here, and Kath said earlier about the criteria, there's something for everyone, irrespective of age or background or where you've come from or anything else. There's something for you. So think about it and come along. A huge opportunity, and I'd encourage people to do it. Particularly, I think that's just about our hour coming up. And I'd just like to thank the people who's contributed to it and prepared things for us. So thank you very much for that. If there's people you know who could be great district people, supporting clubs is a huge opportunity. It's a huge pleasure to do it. And I thoroughly recommend it, obviously, but you've heard other people saying the same tonight. So thanks very much, everybody. Look forward to seeing you all again soon. And thanks for joining us this evening. So thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ken. Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.